Hello, this is Dr. Ezra Sidran, the designer of the General Staff Wargaming system, and today I will be doing a video tutorial on the Black Powder Army Editor. There are four modules in the General Staff Wargaming system: the Army Editor, where you create and edit armies; the Map Editor, where you design new battlefields; the Scenario Editor, where you create new battles by combining two armies from the Army Editor with a battlefield created in the Map Editor; and the General Staff Wargaming itself. So we're going to start off, we've got the Army Editor up and running, and we're going to start off by selecting New Army. This clears everything out. And we're going to be creating the order of battle for the British and Portuguese forces in the Battle of Albuera, order of battle table. I'm going to actually be using Wikipedia to do this. You can actually cut and paste. It makes things pretty easy. So we're going to start by putting in the name of the army here. And that would be the Anglo-Portuguese Army. And we're going to start by adding the commander. The commander of the army is Marshal William C. Beresford. And I'm just going to copy that over from Wikipedia, and I'm just going to paste it right in. Pretty cool, huh? And I'm not an expert on this battle. I did a little research. Number of victories for Beresford. He's recommended for command of the Anglo-Portuguese forces by Wellington. So we're going to give him a pretty high leadership value. Move him all the way up to, I don't know, 94. How does that sound? Next is the second commander division, commander of the second division, Major General William Stewart. So we're going to add a subordinate. This is a headquarters unit as well. And I'll just type this one in. So it's Major General Stewart. And Stewart, according to Glover, the historian of the Peninsular War, wrote, "As a battalion commander, Stewart was surpassed only by Moore, but as a general, he was a menace." So not good leadership here. Probably a 61. Again, these are all totally arbitrary decisions done by, in this case, me. When you create an army, you're the one that gets to decide the leadership values. And next, we're going to add a subordinate to Major General Stewart, and that would be the actual troops that he commands in the 2nd Division. And the first of these would be the 1st Brigade, 2nd Division, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel John Colborne. So we're going to select Add Substitute, and we're going to type in his name. We're going to call it Colborne's Brigade. He's infantry. They never skirmish. They have a strength of 2,066. They have a Kriegspiel strength of 4. Now, Kriegspiel is a simple introductory war game that I created. It uses the same maps, uses different pieces. It's a very simple introductory game, and instead of dealing with a lot of data, there's just a number of icons, little tokens. So Colborne's Brigade will be represented by 4 infantry tokens. We'll get to that in another tutorial. The shooting effect is 1.0, and that's to say that it's estimated that 1 infantryman can shoot 1 other person during one turn. The ammunition, I believe they carried 30 rounds. I could be completely wrong about that. Here's where you change it. The reload time is 60 seconds. The range for these smoothbore flintlock muskets is really about 250 meters. The close combat value, now these are British regulars. These are the 3rd, 31st, 48th, 66th Regiment of Foot. So they're pretty tough in close combat. So we're going to give them, say, 1.7 here. And we can change the accuracy range by, we're going to select musket, obviously, because that's what they are. But if we look at it, we can also change, we can edit these values. And you can see how the actual range for these muskets drops off very quickly, around 60 meters. But you can adjust this curve any way you want, and there's other pre-designed curves already built in. And what do we know about Colonel Colborne? Well, He was competent, but his brigade was almost wiped out. So we'll give him a pretty good leadership value, but not a fantastic one. Good quality troops, probably with good morale. Okay, now we're going to take advantage of another built-in feature in this program, and that is we're going to create another subordinate unit. And we know this is for the 2nd Brigade, and what we're going to do, because we want to copy over most of the information we did already added for Colburn's Brigade, we're going to click on this, and that's how we copied it, and we're going to paste it into this slot, and boom, all the information we added for Colburn's already been copied over, with one important exception. And that is, if we go up here, you can see that we have the option of turning on or turning off pasting the names of the units in the headquarters when we copy and paste them. Obviously, we don't want to paste Colburn's name because this is a different brigade. This is, in fact, going to be Major General Houghton's brigade. And 1,651 were the number of troops in that brigade. What do we know about Major General Houghton? Well, he was a popular and able officer. Wellington was reported to have commented on his death. Quote, "I understand that it was impossible for anybody to behave better than he did. He actually fell waving his hat and cheering his brigade on to the charge, died in the battle." So, okay, very, very good leadership there. We're going to move him way up. And we're going to keep these guys about the same. So now we're moving on. We want to create the 3rd Brigade. So we'll again click on the division commander, which is Stewart here. We're going to add a subordinate. And once again, we're just going to paste that previous information right in. And this is Abercrombie's brigade. And 1,597 was his strength. We don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about him. We'll move his leadership down a little bit. And then last of all, we're going to add another subordinate. And these are the light infantry. So we just click on this, pop up. We're going to select Bing, light infantry. And they skirmish. And then we're going to say they skirmish all the time. And there was only 146. And this was 3 companies, the 5th Battalion, 60th Regiment of Foot, Divisional Light Troops. So that's going to give them just a crucial strength of 1. They're going to have a shooting effect of 1.0. Again, they will be musket. Give them 30 rounds. A reload time of 60 seconds. Once again, a range of 275. But they're light infantry, so they're going to close combat is going to be 0.7. Leadership, they're probably pretty good. These are, again, British regulars. And there we go. We've now completed all the 2nd Division, I should say. Now we're going to move on to the 4th Division. So we go up here once again to the Marshal. We're going to add a subordinate, and there he is. This is the 2nd Division, and this is Major General Lowry Cole. What do we know about General Cole? He was wounded in the battle, served with distinction, awarded the Army Gold Cross with 4 clasps. So pretty good. We're going to give him a pretty high value. Let's give him up in the 90s. Let's add now his troops. And we can actually save some time. We can actually paste all the way down here. So we're going to do that. And this is Myers Brigade. And 2015 was his strength. And these are Royal Fusiliers, so we don't know anything about his leadership, but we do know extremely high quality troops. Next is the 2nd Brigade. Again, we're going to create a subordinate unit. and we're going to paste right in there. And this is Lieutenant Colonel Kemmons. This is a very, very small unit, only 165 troops. I don't even know why they're calling it a brigade. But again, British regulars. Next we have a Portuguese brigade commanded by Brigadier General Harvey. And 2,927 troops. And, you know, probably not the best quality, so move them down a little bit. I don't know. They're Portuguese. They're fighting from their own land. Let's give them high morale, though. Higher morale. Okay. And that concludes the 4th Division. Now we move on to what's just simply called the Hamilton's Division. So again, we're going to come up here, add a subordinate. Oop. Put that in the wrong place. We want to make a subordinate to the marshal. You notice, by the way, I just deleted that, so that's how you do that. Dink. And this will be Hamilton's Division, commanded by Major General John Hamilton. What do we know about Hamilton? It's been said of Hamilton that he evinced the utmost steadiness and courage at El Buena. Okay, so we'll give him really high values there. Good for him. Create a subordinate for him. And this will be, well, we'll just copy this. Once again, we'll just copy this data over, make life easier for us. This is another Portuguese brigade commanded by Brigadier General Archibald Campbell. So this will be Campbell's brigade. Good commander, but the quality of the troops probably not all that good. Morale's probably pretty good. 2,390 is the strength. Let's create another subordinate there and paste that in. And this is another Portuguese brigade commanded by Brigadier General A. Luis Fonseca. $2,429. And we can keep all these values. They're just fine. And that's it for Hamilton's division. Okay, we're moving along fast. Next, we've got some independent brigades. And again, we come up here, add a subordinate. And this will be Major General Charles Alton. What do we know about Alton? Alton was ordered to evacuate El Buena village, which could be retaken by the Portuguese as soon as they could arrive, and move up the ridge to reinforce the dwindling line. The order was carried by a Portuguese aide-de-camp, and Alton, a good and conscientious Hanoverian soldier, believed that it must have been destroyed in transmission. He refused to move until relieved by the Portuguese. Well, that's obviously really bad, especially in this structure that we use for general staff. If he's going to ignore orders, we're going to give him a very bad leadership. I don't know. How about 43? And he commands two battalions of the King's German Legion. So we're going to add a subordinate here, and that is the King's German Legion. And we'll just paste this in. So Leadership's probably actually pretty good, underneath him. Quality is very good. Morale is probably very good. And 1,098. I'm going to give that 2 there. And the next independent, again, we'll come up here, add a subordinate, is Colonel Richard Collins. Don't know anything about him at all. Add a subordinate, paste that in, and he's commanding a Portuguese line. So again, probably not the best quality, and they have 1,385 for strength. And now we get to some exciting stuff. We can get to add some cavalry. Yay! This is Major General William Lumley. And we know that Lumley was very well thought of, competent but poor health. So, I guess in the mid-80s. How does that sound? Going to add a subordinate to Lumley, and this is a cavalry. This is the heavy brigade. These are dragoons. They never skirmish. They have good leadership, very high quality, very high morale. This is the 3rd and 4th British Dragoons. They never skirmish. They have a strength of 761. And this is actually de Grey's brigade. So we'll add that up here. Shooting effect, they've got nothing. They're not going to shoot at all. Ammunition, 0. Reload, 0. Range, 0. But close combat, they're going to be very powerful in close combat. Very, very powerful indeed. So we'll give them, how about a 7.5 for that. Then we're going to add another subordinate unit. And this is a Portuguese heavy cavalry brigade. So this time we're going to copy this, paste it down here. And this is Otway's brigade. And they had a strength of 849. Probably not as high quality. And then last of all, we've got some light dragoons. So we're going to add a subordinate. And we're going to make this light cavalry. We can paste this in anyway, actually. We'll do that. Save some more time and just change it to light cavalry. And this would be the 13th Light Dragoons. And they have a strength of 403. Forgot to add the Kriegspiel strength for those guys, so we're adding that up. And that leaves us just the artillery. Back up here, add a subordinate. And the subordinate is Major Alexander Dixon, and he was very well thought of as an artillery commander. Very well indeed. Add a subordinate to him. And we're going to, this is some Royal Horse Artillery, is the first unit here. So yay, horse artillery, everybody loves horse artillery. And this would be the Faber's troop. high leadership, very high quality, high morale. They never skirmish. They have a strength of 125. Gives them we'll give them 2 units. And this is very important. They have a very, very high shooting effect. So based on the number of units. So we're going to give them 18. And for the accuracy drop-off range, it's going to be cannon. Ammunition, I believe they had about 40 rounds. Reload time, I think it's about 60 seconds. Range, we're going to call it 1,000 meters. And the close-up, they're going to be very bad in close-up combat. 0.4. Add another artillery battery. We're going to copy and paste that in. And this is Hawker's battery. Of Royal Artillery. This is not horse artillery, so we'll make that. We should have copied it from here. Boink. Boink. And change this to artillery. And they have a strength of 125. Next, these are the King's German Legion batteries. So we'll paste those in. And Cleves battery. And add another subordinate. Simfer's battery. And then there's 2 more Portuguese batteries. And this is Brown's battery. And lastly, Amaga's battery. Well, that's it. We've got the entire order battle done, and now we just come up here and save it. Pretty easy peasy. Nothing else to add. Here's the helps. Of course, if you go online, go to help. This will take you right to the online help section. Quick note about the typography here, about where the typography came from, the Walden Font Company, great people. And last of all, it tells you when the build was for this version. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, as always, please give me a call or email me.